Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I'm Vanessa, welcome. Thank you all for tuning in. This video is for you today if you're somebody who is always doing something, who maybe defines themselves through doing, their value through how much you're doing and creating or, contributing or, doing for your family, at work, wherever. And we're living right now in a time where those of us who are so used to doing and always thinking of the next big thing to do, or all the things on the to-do list, or tomorrow or next week, and the future minded, and you're having a hard time not doing anything, or you're having a hard time letting go of control and letting life sort itself out, this video is for you. And like I just started to say, we're living in a time right now where those of us who are so driven by doing and feel like this is a must, doing, and maybe you don't even realize that you're doing it. I was working with 2-3 clients last week that I would all say are overachievers, but maybe who don't see themselves as such, who don't see that they're doing enough, that they're giving their all. So one of them has just been going through a very difficult relationship breakup, very intense, very heartbreaking, and that brought with it all sorts of other issues, like dividing the household and divorcing and all these kind of things. And that wonderful human, didn't really see that they've done such an incredible journey of self-growth and not letting themselves down, and tending to their heart and just growing so beautifully through that difficult challenge, with so much grace and compassion for themselves and the other person. And we talked about the fact that they just decided to start the next big thing and go into a new project, but in their heart they didn't really feel like they had the energy for it. And so in our session we kind of talked about the fact that, what does your heart need? And when we tuned into their heart, they realized, wow, this has been so much, and it's still a little bit of way to go to get through this heartbreak and the divorce and everything. And so there was maybe not really enough space to actually focus on a new thing. And I think this is a good example for all of us who are going through difficult life changes, challenges, and sometimes we don't give ourselves credit for the amount of work we've done or where we're at and what we made it through, because we've just seen challenge, and we didn't really see that, wow, that was exhausting. I deserve some rest. I deserve to take it slower. I deserve to cut myself some slack and listen to what my body, what my heart, what my soul may be needing, rather than, all right, next thing on the agenda from your mind, right? And that takes some courage, because it can feel really uncomfortable to slow down, to take a break, to rest, to digest, to do the work of doing nothing. Sometimes when we just, another 2 client stories from last week, I just tried to summarize it, was also about them not really seeing how much they've done already, how much they've built for themselves, and then wondering why maybe they feel burned out. and exhausted and overwhelmed with all the goals that they have. And don't get me wrong, I'm also somebody who has lots and lots of ideas and dreams and goals. And at some point, though, I got so overwhelmed by new ideas coming up, and how am I gonna, what am I gonna do first? How am I gonna have time to realize all those ideas? And I just had to learn that, first of all, not every idea needs to be taken action on. And then the other thing is, what is my heart in? Which idea am I really taking from the heart? And if idea is not the good example for you, what are you doing to please others? What are you doing to reinforce the character or the identity that you're trying to build? And what of it is so that you feel safe in terms of, I am loved, I am safe, I am respected? What need are you trying to meet by exhausting yourself and pushing yourself and forcing yourself? Yeah. And again, there's no judgment in that. I know how it feels, and that's why I want to talk about this with you today, because I see so many of you in session and like exhausted and overwhelmed and maybe anxious or even depressed, and we wonder why. And it's often because we are not going at the pace of our heart. Well, I said in the beginning of the video, this is for people who are defining themselves through doing. So if you are somebody who is never doing anything, maybe this is not the right video for you. See just, what resonates with you. But it's especially for you guys who are always doing and who may be even feeling embarrassed or anxious about not doing, like guilty. I had moments when I first started really slowing down. I really had to slow down because my body would just not allow me anymore to go at a rapid pace. And that is part of like the spiritual awakening, deepening journey that I went through a few years ago, which felt really scary. And it felt like suddenly, what is going on with my body? Why do I not have the energy anymore? Why do I feel so easily overwhelmed? Why do I have headaches or feel anxious or even panic or shortness of breath? And, like so impacted by other people's energies. And that taught me, and maybe you have different symptoms. Share it in the comments below, maybe what you feel like is not working anymore that used to work so easily for you. And that's when I noticed, okay, I need to put my health first. So let me somehow slow down. And obviously with slowing down also comes the idea of, whoa, but then I can work less. I have to work less. And that means I will earn less. And that means, how am I gonna make sure I feel, like I can pay my rent and all these things? And then also that comes with a lot of guilt, because if I have to slow down and people don't see that I'm physically ill in terms of I don't have the flu, I don't have, something that maybe you can necessarily see from the outside, how will people respond to me slowing down? And I had all these embarrassments and guilt and feelings of shame, especially when I was staying with my family for a bit and visiting them. And from my mom, I always like learned doing. Like laying on the couch is okay sometimes, but also, why are you not doing anything? And that got so ingrained in me. I wasn't even aware of that, that this was ingrained in me, but I'm just sharing that because I'm sure you may have similar stories. So it's really important to unpack those stories and realize, oh, wow, I'm getting anxious when I'm laying on the couch and I know my mom is going to come home when I was visiting them. And why am I getting anxious? Oh, because as a child, I didn't feel safe to lay on the couch and do nothing. when she was at home. So this is, again, no judgment against our parents or caretakers. I'm sure everybody does what they can. And at the same time, what happens within us through the connection with others and exchange with others is what we need to tend to as adults. So that's why it's important to unravel. I'm sure my mom didn't mean anything negative with wanting to make me do stuff. But for me, it created anxiousness. I'm somebody who needs a lot of downtime in order to, and in that downtime, my system creates ideas and projects, or comes up with a lot that happens not when I sit in an office on a computer. But that's what you get to learn about yourself. That's why I'm saying it's important to allow yourself to do nothing. If you feel like you're not creative anymore, or you have no energy anymore, and you want to do all those things to get your energy or get creative, I would suggest you, when you really don't have the energy or not the motivation or whatever to do anything, why don't you just try to do nothing? Because it's really powerful. Because in doing nothing, you're doing something, because you learn to relax. You learn that rest is not just an additional luxury thing. Rest is essential in life, right? That's why we sleep at night, for example. So if you're somebody who always defined themselves through doing, there is some work around learning to relax and rest, no matter who's watching, and learning that this is part of life too, that you deserve that no matter what. And I know there may be fears, especially if you're going through sort of a spiritual awakening journey, and you feel, maybe you don't call it like that, and that's totally fine and valid, but maybe you're feeling your body is changing or your mind is changing. Maybe you're not so concentrated, or you have lots of heart palpitations, or you feel like you're absorbing a lot of the energy of others, or you're not feeling so motivated anymore for whatever you do. Then it may be a really good time to allow yourself some more downtime. And I realized on my journey as well that the more I allowed myself downtime, in the beginning it was really hard, because I tried to rest and I was on my phone. I tried to rest and I was on the TV. I tried to rest and still felt like in the rest I needed to do stuff. So when I did nothing and just stared at the wall, that felt really uncomfortable, because a part of me inside felt like, we're not allowed to do nothing. Oh my God, it's shameful to do nothing. Who am I if I'm not productive? I'm not going to be loved if I'm not productive. I'm not going to be respected, right? Or accepted. So check in with yourself what it is for you that is coming up, the narrative. If you would slow down, if you would, not do the thing that you don't want to do anyway. If you would not do the thing that you're trying to do, even if you're passionate about it and you're pushing yourself to do it, it doesn't have the same effect. And I said this to one of my clients that I shared about, who has been going through this relationship breakup. And they have a great project that they're working on, an amazing project. And I know that they're absolutely passionate about it. And at the same time, they just went through such a huge change in life, put so much effort in their self-development and everything, that we need to cut ourselves some slack and also allow ourselves to rest and not fill the space that we're creating with new stuff immediately. Sometimes all we got to do is allow ourselves some fun, some joy, something that may not make sense in your productivity mind, or efficiency mind, or achievement mind. And that's important. Maybe you haven't learned that it's okay to rest, or it's okay to be silly and just do something without a reason. Yeah. Maybe you feel like, I need to make a contribution to the world, and that's very good. That's amazing, actually. And you cannot forget about yourself, because you can only serve others, when you're, take care of yourself. And so slowing down for me was really hard because I was always so used to giving, but receiving was so hard for me. And if this is out of balance, if you're not used to even receiving some rest, then this is something we need to learn. I know a lot of you comment on having fear of not making money and, what happens when I slow down? How will I make money? If this is what your soul needs, what your heart needs, what your body needs, there will be a way. And I'm not just saying this like, manifestation, new age BS. I'm saying this from experience. Because when I had to slow down, when my body slowed me down in a way that literally I could not work so much, literally I could not do much in general. I wasn't even meeting up with friends because I just had zero energy and I was anxious and I had panic attacks and I just felt like, whoa, this is a lot. And then, I just felt on top of that so much fear, existential fear around money and, paying rent and groceries and those very basic things. And when that happened to me, all I could do is work on my relationship with a higher power, with God, source, universe, however you want to call it. Because when we're living in a time where we're, like I shared in a different video, getting more and more invited to be more authentic and more truthful and let all the masks, all the coping mechanisms fall and reintegrate the parts of ourselves we have abandoned in order to be part and uniform in this society. This is all going to be taken away. And I'm not saying this from like a woo-woo place. I'm saying this from just look at how the world works. And I see this in the lives of my friends, my family, my clients, myself. And it's not just an idea in a YouTube video anymore. It's literally happening. And either we decide to meet ourselves and look at ourselves and face our emotions, our thoughts, our wounds, or we don't, and then life will get more uncomfortable because life will make you look at stuff. So if your body, if your mind, if your heart is tired, allow yourself some rest because it's happening for a reason. Because when we get quiet, when we get silent, when we, take off the noise around us and focus on being here right now, this is when information comes in. This is when realizations come in. This is when emotions want to come up to the surface to be processed. So if you're having a hard time like finding clarity or knowing what's next, or maybe you're confused or in a very transformative time and you have not really energy and you only can focus on maybe one thing, do that. Focus on one thing and allow yourself some doing nothing, because from doing nothing, everything arises. Literally. Think about like putting a seed into the earth. You put some earth on top, maybe you put some water, and then the seed is just there and it's doing nothing. It's just literally hanging out in the earth, doing nothing. But at some point, poof, the seed breaks open and a little thingy, maybe you can put in the comments what it's called, like a Keimling in German, I don't know how to say it in English, like a little thing grows out of the seed, and then it grows and grows and grows, makes its way through the earth up to the light. And this is us when we allow ourselves to just hang out in the darkness, in the not knowing. The darkness is not always negative. It's not always difficult. It's just sometimes the unknown that's uncomfortable because we have no idea what happens next. And how can we learn to deepen our relationship to life, to God, to source, whatever you want to call it, universe, to a higher power, to our soul? How can we deepen that relationship if there's lots of noise around us? So we are being invited or, pushed a little bit to slow down for a reason. You may not know the reason yet, but that doesn't mean that this is a bad thing. So sometimes we need to learn to trust in life. And for me, that journey of when I had to so slow down, I got to reconnect with my feminine, because I spent many years working in the masculine part of myself, discarding my creativity, my intuition, my feminine qualities. And this is not just for women. Men and women have feminine qualities within us. And when we discard one or the other, then life gets into imbalance. And sometimes we live in that imbalance for a long time. And then it's about asking ourselves, all right, where am I gripping on to something? Where am I so much in my masculine, so much trying to be in control, that it actually creates dissonance for me, that it's, unhealthy? And then how can I, what does it take for me to let go a little more of control? Why am I so afraid? To rest, to let go. What does it mean for me if I do that? What's the worst thing that could happen? Will I not be loved? Will I not be accepted? Will I be ridiculed? What is it, the worst, belief that could come alive? Because that's what it all comes down to, our belief, our limiting belief or supportive belief. And that again is connected to a core wound that we will hold ourselves back from re-experiencing as much as we can, right? Because we don't want to get hurt again. So we're trying to do in order to be valid in the world, be worthy in the world, but we're destroying our health in whatever way that may be. So when you're invited to slow down, do it. When you feel like I have no clarity, I have no energy, I don't know what's next, just rest or do something that's fun. But try to do something that is not per se productive. I have so many friends who have been building businesses, and that is not easy, right? But then sometimes I see one or two of them who I would be on the phone with and ask them, so how was your day? Oh, I was working all day. Oh, I was having meetings, and I was having, I was researching things, and I just hear in their energy that there is some shame about maybe having watched a movie, or maybe not having had as much to do as they would want to have or want to make believe they have, because there is still a part of them that feels ashamed about not doing enough. Or, like when you're building a business, that's not just sitting in front of the computer or meeting people or having meetings. Also, a lot happens, especially if you're building an aligned business, a soul business, a spiritual business, whatever you want to call it. A lot happens in the in-betweens. Like how I create my ideas is in meditation. I literally sit on the couch or on the grass or on a walk, and I meditate, and I just, communicate with soul, with the universe, and I just allow to float through what needs to come through. That's how I work now. I would have never thought I could work like that, but that's what I need. I need the downtime, and I need the silence to receive what wants to come through me. And that's a very different way of working, right? I will make a separate video on that, because this video is long enough and it's going a little bit off topic. But I just want you to know from my own experience and what I see in clients right now, and in friends and in people that I just witness in the world, that life is changing. And slowing down, is necessary to understand more about yourself, to listen and see and hear where there can be refinement in your alignment to self, to life. And if we don't allow that, we're actually pushing, maybe in the wrong direction. Maybe there are some little things that you aren't hearing as you're pushing forward. Maybe there are parts of you that want to be heard, that want to be seen, that want to be witnessed, and that don't want to be pushed. I always have this image in my head of like a child that is pulled on the arm by their parent, like, come on, let's go. And the child is like, oh, but I really wanted to see like the ducks in the lake, or can we just look at this, like full of wonder, full of excitement. And this child lives in all of us. So how do we treat our inner child? Can we treat it with compassion and presence and love to keep that creative flame, that life force essentially alive? Because if we don't have life force, if we don't have energy, motivation, creativity, even libido, if we don't have all these things, that's a sign that a part of us needs some attention. And that's usually our inner child. That's usually the most pure part within us that wants to have some fun or wants to rest and want to be heard. And so how can you build a relationship with that part of yourself? By starting to listen. And how can you listen? When you give yourself some rest, some silence, some fun, to awaken your inner child within you. And that lives often in the heart, right? Like, how can you be more attentive to your heart? And there's nothing wrong about doing nothing. And if you feel like there's something wrong about doing nothing, then this is the first place to look at. Why is it so hard for me to do nothing? Yeah, why does it make me feel uncomfortable? Or how does it make me feel? And then go down that rabbit hole with some more questions. And you can, again, like I always say, you can do the meditation that's pinned below. And instead of, leading through the meditation upset or anger, you can lead your feeling of, it's hard for me to rest. It's uncomfortable for me to do nothing. And just see what comes up, because it's a guided meditation. So it will lead you through connecting with your body, connecting with the part within you that needs to be seen by you right now. So to understand it, I lead you in that meditation through different prompts, and you will understand yourself better in a way, So it's very powerful. Check it out, try it out. It's free. I mean, nothing's better than free stuff, right? So you have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. And it's the first step of doing nothing, laying on the couch, putting on your headphones and just listening to a meditation. So go for it. I would love to hear how doing nothing feels to you. So comment below your thoughts on the topic. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and I see you tomorrow. Ciao.